Hello everyone, welcome to this open webinar from Numena office. I'm Aldo Sollazzo, manager of the office, and with me there is Filena Basetta, partner of our studio. She will be teaching you some very interesting stuff based on the official Rhino training program. Filena, it's a pleasure for me to introduce you. Good luck with the webinar.
Hello, everybody. So today we are gonna use Rhino to create a complex geometry as the one that you see in the screen. So first we are gonna create the upper surface, and then we are gonna create the two cutouts. The important thing of this exercise is to make a surface that is smoothly and seamlessly blend into each other. Okay, so now we're gonna go to Rhino and we're gonna start building this together step by step. Okay, so as I said before, we are gonna start by creating the first outer surface. Okay, so we are gonna start building an auxiliary line in order to start from our first curve. To do this, we are gonna take the command of the polyline, and we are gonna start from the 0, 0, 0. So we type 0, enter, and we have our first point done. So if we go to the front viewport, because I want to create a line on the front view, and I want to create a line that its length is 445 units, and its angle from the x-axis is 17 degrees. So to do that, I'm working in millimeters, so my unit is millimeter. I have to type on the command line my length, so it's 444, and my specific angle using the sign of smaller than, and then I have to type the degrees of my angle. So it's 17 degrees. So I have to type 17. So pressing enter, I'm gonna get my second point of my line. So I will have my first line. So just a minute. So I press enter, and I have my second point at this specific angle, so 17 degrees, and its length is 445 units. So my next point is going to be somewhere here, because I want to create a curved surface that you're going to see. And I have to use not the coordinate that I used before, because I started from 0, 0, but I will use the relative coordinates, because I will draw my second point of this polyline relative to the point that I just created. So to do that, in my command line, I start with at. So I type at, and then I type the length of my line, which is 115. Then again, smaller than, to specify my angle, and my angle is minus 45 degrees. So minus 45, and then I press enter. So I have now my next point. Let me deactivate smart track. Okay, and I right click or enter. So I have my first line. I want to show you just a little thing that if I draw this line now and I measure from my dimension, angle dimension, and I measure the angle between these two lines, I will see that it's 45 degrees. So what I did before, I draw the line that I specified with minus 45 is the angle between my x-axis and the line that I wanted to draw, but relative to this point. Okay, so let me continue. From here, we have an auxiliary line which is going to help us to create our first curve. To create our curve, we are going to use the control point curve from the main toolbar. And we are going to set a degree from the command line in a degree 03. This is going to give us a smooth curve that we want. And we are going to now click the 3 points, the 3 corners of our endpoints of our polyline. So we click the first, the second, and the third one, and then right click. Okay, so here in the perspective viewport, now we can see that we have created our first line. From this line, by copying it 445 units to the top, we are going to loft these 2 lines together and we're going to create our initial surface. So I'm going to type loft, enter, and I'm going to select my 2 curves and enter. Here the options of loft, I leave it as it is. I want a normal loft. Okay, and I press OK. So I have my first surface. This is my surface that from this I'm going to create all the shape that you saw in the beginning. Let's organize a little bit our layers. I will create a layer for the auxiliary lines. Okay, and by selecting this line and clicking to my right click to my layer, change object layer. So now I have whatever I don't need, I will put it in this layer. And I'm going to preview of it so we are not getting confused. Okay, so now we have a surface, but it's quite flat, and we want to create a little bit a more interesting, let's say, more curvy shape. Okay. So I'm going to rebuild my surface. Actually, first, I will select my surface and I will preview on the control point. So now you see that my surface has these control points. So not enough for me to manipulate my surface. What I'm going to do is rebuild my surface by typing rebuild, enter. I select my surface, enter, and here I have this pop-up window asking me how many degrees and points in a U and the V direction. So for the ones who they don't know, every surface in Rhino is specified by 2 parameters, which is the U and the V directions, according parallel to, let's say, parallel to X and Y axis. And for this, I think 6 degrees, 6 points in the U and 6 points in the V direction with a degree 4 is gonna give me what I want. So let's take the new surface. Okay, so now you see that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points in the V direction, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points in the V direction, U direction. What I'm going to do now from the top view, I will select only the points that I want to modify. For example, I will select these 2 points and I'm going to move them from the front viewport, so I make sure that the plan remains the same. I'm gonna move it a little bit up. Now I'm gonna select the next 2 points. I'm gonna move them a little bit up too. And these 2 points as well, a little bit. Okay, you can specify and do the shape that you prefer. Let's see. Again, the points, I can modify a little bit more, so I have a more curvy shape. Okay, like this seems good. Okay, so I have my, and now, if you notice in the initial image, my surface is not rectangular in plan, but it has a specific shape. So now I'm gonna draw this shape, and we're gonna trim the surface that we have already designed. So I'm going to create from curves a rectangle from corner to corner. I'm gonna start from the 0, 0, 0, and I'm gonna end to the diagonal corner of my surface. So now this way I have the footprint of my surface on the XY plane. I will put my first surface in a new layer. I will name it first surface. Okay, and by selecting it, right click to my layer, change object layer. I have removed it to my new layer. Okay, I will move these 2 lines in my auxiliary lines, change object layer. Okay, and now I will work on the plan pattern of my surface. So I will explode my surface and I will offset this curve 55 units to the top, the same with this one, and then again. So I create these lines, and then I'm gonna offset this line 100 units to the right. Okay, I just created a grid that I will need to draw my lines. So I need a diagonal line from here to here, and the same to the other side. And now I'm gonna do a control point curve with degree 3, and I'm gonna click to this intersection, make sure that your snap is activated, the intersection. So, and the midpoint, because I'm gonna snap now to the midpoint, and then here and here. So with these lines, I'm getting pretty close to my final shape. but I need to modify a little bit this curve. Something went wrong. Let me delete it and I draw it again. Click here, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So now I will turn on my control points and I will move this point with the move command and with the ortho a bit more, so it's close to my edge. Okay. Escape to deactivate the control points. And now this is my shape that I will select by pressing Shift all my lines, and I will join them. Okay, so now I have the pattern to cut my surface. I will turn on my surface, and in the top viewport, I will project from this button here, project curves. I will project the pattern that I just created okay, enter on my surface and then press enter again. Okay, as you see now, my pattern is projecting on my surface and I am ready to trim the parts that I don't need. So from the trim command here, select cutting objects, I select my pattern. I'm sorry, select objects to trim, and now I select my surface. Okay, perfect. So this was the process to cut and create the shape of my final object. So let me select the lines that I don't want. I put them in my layer of auxiliary lines. And I will continue now with my trimmed surface. Okay, so from this surface, what we want to do is to create two cutouts. I have to define the shape of my cutouts in order not to lose time now. I have created them already, and I have them in this layer that I'm going to turn on right now. So in the top viewport, you need to create two lines for that define the cutout that you want to do to your surface. With the same command that you used before, project on surface, we are going to transfer our lines on our surface. So I project my curves, I select the curves to project, enter, and then I select my surface and then enter again. Okay, so the same process, I have now my curves on my surface, and what I'm going to do now, looking here, I want to cut a little part of my surface, which is this one here, and I'm going to work from now on with this one to simplify the process. So what I want to do is extend this curve to meet the end of this surface. For this, I'm going to go to my curve menu here and then extend curve and extend curve on surface. I select the curve that I want to extend, enter, and then the surface that the curve is on, which is my surface, and immediately I have my curve extended until the edge of my surface. Perfect. So now what I want is to take this dummy surface of my surface. So I want to trim on this line, this line. Okay, so again I need to trim these sides too, and I'm gonna join these three lines into one. Okay, so now I have my joined lines, and I'm going to create a new layer here. I'm gonna name it dummy surface. Okay, and oops, by selecting my surface, right-click to my new layer, copy objects to layer, I create a copy of this specific object to my new layer. So I will deactivate my first surface, and now I have my dummy surface. And I'm gonna trim the surface. So I use the trim command. I select as my cutting objects my joined line, and then enter, and I click on my surface to trim. So from now on, for a little while, we are gonna work with this small surface, and we're gonna create the floor for our cutout, and then create the smoothly blend of our surfaces.
Do something.
Okay. Perfect. So we have our dummy surface, and let's, oops, escape. Let's change this line to our auxiliary lines. Okay, so now if we turn on the control points of this surface, we are going to notice that they have nothing to do with our new surface, but are the same control points from the surface of before. So to get rid of that, I press escape, and I go to my surface menu, and edit tools. Where is it? Shrink, surface, surface edit tools here. And then I'm gonna shrink my trimmed surface. So I click here, select trim surface to shrink. I select my surface, enter. And now if I select my surface again and I preview the control points, I see that I have a different layout of my control points. Okay, so escape. Let me hide this part from, I turn off my layer cutout curves. And now we are going to create the floor of our cutout. To do this, we need to do a curve, and we need to work on the front view. So here in the front view, you can see our space, how it is from the front. So I'm going to create a control point curve. Okay, and for this curve, I'm gonna use degree 5, so I have a smoother curve. And I'm going to create a curve that consists of 6 points. So what I want to do, I see the front view. It's like I see the section of my final object. So what I want to create is a line that starts from here, okay, and goes close tangent to my dummy surface in the beginning, and then it comes further down from my initial cutout. So let's do that. I will deactivate the near snap. Okay, so I will go tangent to my initial line in the beginning, and I will draw my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 point line. So this is my line, and let's check now. Okay, I forgot to tell you something. We need to activate from the bottom of our window. We need to activate the planner, because you saw that now I snapped on my first point, and then I was working on the XY construction plane of my front view. So if we activate the planner, let's do the same process again. Okay, I want to create the curve, degree 5. I snap here, then tangent, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. And now, because I have the planner activated, you see that in the top view, I can see that my line is straight. Okay. So now I want to bring this line close to this line that I have here, the shape of my cutout. So I have to activate my control points. And by moving them one by one, selecting them, let me deactivate the planner. Okay. I will move them closer to my line. Okay. Make sure you have ortho on, so your front view doesn't change as well when you modify the point only on the Y direction. So I move my points one by one along the Y-axis to get closer to my cutout shape. Okay, a little bit more. Okay. So I have my first line of the floor, and I'm going to copy this to the other side here. And I will adjust again my control points to fit the other side of the cutout. So I move again along the Y-axis. Okay. escape. Okay, so these two lines are gonna make my floor, the floor of my cutout. So the best way to create this floor is by sweep to rail this edge along these two rails. But before I do this, I want to make sure that the curves that I have just drawn are tangent to my dummy surface, so I end up with a smooth shape. So I'm going to extract from, I had this curve before, I'm going to explode it, and I'm going, okay, to use a command that is called match, and matches two curves in order to have the same tangency. So from here, on the command line is written select open curve to change. So the curve that I want to change is my blue curve here, and I have to click next to its end here. And now I have to select an open curve to match, which is this line here. Okay. And now you see I have different options. The type of continuity, which is the position, it means that the two lines have the common starting point, which I know that already exists. But what I want is a tangency. I want to keep these two lines tangent. So I click the tangency command, the tangency option of the continuity, and preserve the other end tangency as well. Okay. So you saw how this line, I will Control Z to show you the difference. So you saw how this line automatically changed in order to be tangent to this edge of my dummy surface. I will repeat the same for the other line. Okay. I'm gonna type match, enter. I select my curve next to the end. I select the other curve, and I use the same options that I had before, and I press OK. So now I'm sure that my two lines are tangent to my surface, so I will end up with a smoother outcome. So now I'm ready to create my two rail sweep. So I type sweep 2, enter, and I have to select my first rail, which is this one, my second rail, which is this one, and now it asks for the cross-section curve, which is this line here. I select it, and I click enter. I will check here the simple sweep option, and I will press OK. Okay, so now you saw that I created this smooth continuation of my previous surface. And a nice useful tool that Rhino has to see how two surfaces, how continuous or how tangent they are, is the zebra command. So from Analyze Surface, you select the zebra. I select my objects, enter, and now you see this zebra pattern on the surface. You can create thinner lines, and you see that the connection is quite smooth between my two surfaces. Okay, so I close zebra. Okay. And now we are going to create the walls of my cutout. So let's see, we have still this line, and from this line I'm going to extrude this line downwards in order to create the walls of my cutout. But I will use the command extrude curve tapered because I want to extrude it with a little bit of inclination. And my draft angle is going to be 10 degrees. Okay. So now I will come to my front viewport and I will extend this just a little bit further down from my floor surface. Okay, here. Okay, let's make sure. Okay. Okay. So now as you see, this surface, if I select it, is a very dense surface. In order to change this, we can refit the tolerance of this surface with a command from Surface menu, Surface Edit Tools, and then refit to tolerance. We are going to use the tolerance 0.001, delete input yes, degree UNV3, and enter. So now my surface is not that complex anymore. Okay. Cool. Okay. Perfect. Now I'm going to create a fillet between the wall that I just created and the floor of my cutout. So I will use the fillet surface command, fillet surface, with a radius of 5 units. Okay, and I will be careful here, extend, I click to no, trim, I click to no. Okay, enter. And now it asks me to select the first surface to fillet, and I click my floor. Oops. Again, trim no, enter. Okay. I select my floor and select second surface. I select my wall. Okay. So now you see that this extra surface has been created, which is the fillet of my floor and my wall. Okay. And I will do the same for my initial surface, which is this one, and the wall. So I'm going to repeat the same command, and I will select the first surface to fillet. So this surface, my original surface, and as a second surface, I'm gonna select again my wall surface. and I turn off my first surface. I see that I have here again this fillet. Okay. Okay. So now I want to stop these two fillets at the intersection of they're in between their intersection. So let's clean up a little bit, create a new layer for my wall. I will put my wall to this layer. I will turn off. I will turn off my floor as well. Oops. And I create a new layer for my fillet. Okay. I select my fillet 1, my fillet 2, change object layer. Okay. And I put these lines to my auxiliary lines. Okay. So I want now to create a circle which cuts perpendicular the two fillets at the point that they intersect. So to do this, I'm gonna use the command of a circle, and by right click this little arrow next to my command, I will choose the circle around curve, and I'm going to select the curve, the upper curve of the bottom fillet here, and then I will select the intersection point of my two fillets. Now I create this circle which is perpendicular, and I repeat the same process for the other side. Okay. Now I want to create a surface. In order to trim from surface, planar curves, I select my two circles and I create these two surfaces. So now I'm ready to trim. Select cutting objects, I select my two planar surfaces, enter, and then I select the objects to trim. I select this little piece here and this piece, and the same from the other side. Okay. So now I have a cleaner object. Let's move the circles and the surfaces in my auxiliary layer. Okay. And I can turn on my wall again. Okay. Let me change to this view. Okay, so from here on, what we want to do is, let me turn on my floor. Okay, it's here. So what I want to do now, I want to extend this edge of the fillet. I want to extend it on my surface here on the bottom, so I can cut the floor along this. So I'm going to create a new layer. I'm gonna name it floor. And I'm gonna put my floor here. Okay, and I'm gonna turn off my dummy surface. Okay, so I will use the command extend. Enter. And I will choose the type smooth. I will press enter for dynamic extend, and I will select now the bottom edge of my fillet here. And I'm going to snap near to the end of my floor surface here. I will do the same process for the other side. I select, okay, smooth, the type, and I press enter for dynamic extend. I select my curve to extend the bottom edge of my fillet, surface edge, and I again come to the top view, and with the near or snap activated, I snap somewhere here. Okay, enter. So now what I have is this continuous line, and I can is this line and this line. I'm gonna join them. Oops, let me see. Something weird happened here. Just a moment. I change the color so I can see better. Okay. So what has happened here? I have a line. Okay, let's turn off everything and see what I have. I have a line here and another line here. Okay, let me trim this line and I trim this part of the other line. Okay. Okay, I want to trim cutting objects. I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna create a line here. And I'm going to trim along this line here. Okay. So now I have these two lines and hopefully I can join them now. Okay. It was an overlapping of two lines. So now I have my continuous joined line. I turn on my previous layers. And now I can trim the floor. Trim, select cutting object, I select my joint curve, enter, and then something happened. Okay, let me copy this line a little bit up. And let me try again to trim. I have locked my layer. Okay, that's why. Okay, I trim now. Okay. So this move was not needed. I delete it. Okay. Okay, and I have my surface trimmed. Okay, now we have to do the same process for the top surface. And we need to create the hole on this surface. So again, I'm going to use the extend command. Okay, the same smooth type, add a dynamic extend, and I will now select the top part of my fillet, and I'm going to snap close to the end of my surface here. Okay, the same with the other edge. Top view, I snap close to here. Okay, so now I have this continuous line. I will create an additional line in order to create a closed curve. So I will join these lines. And now I will trim my surface. As a cutting object, I will use the line that I just created, enter, and then I'm gonna cut the surface like this. Okay. So what we have until now, I'm gonna turn off the dummy surface. Okay, what we have now is our initial surface, our wall with the fillets and the floor. And we have these two rectangular gaps to close. Okay, let me put this in the auxiliary layer to have a clean model. Okay, so now we have to close these two rectangular gaps in order to finish our cutout. So there are two options here. We can use the easiest thing that comes, the first thing that comes into our mind is to create again a two-rail sweep using this S edge here and sweep it along the floor and along our surface. This is one option, and I'm gonna do it from this side. And I'm gonna use this command curve from objects, duplicate edge, and I will select these two little edges and press enter. And now I have created two lines out of my edge. I'm gonna select these two lines, this curve and this curve, and I'm going to join them. And I want to use this rail and this rail. I will create this rail from the edge of my surfaces, but because my edge is bigger, I'm going to split the edge in a smaller segment. So I will go to Analyze, edge tools, split edge. I'm going to split this edge on this point. Enter. And again, use the same command for this edge on this point. Okay, so now if I use the sweep to rail, I have to select my first rail here, my second rail, this one. You see that my edge is split it already. And my cross-section curve, which is the S that I just created. And I press enter. Okay, so I want to keep the tangency of my surfaces. Rail continuity, okay. Okay. Okay, and I have created this. Which, as you see, doesn't end very well here. In order to avoid this problem, I will delete this, and I'm going to create an extra curve in between this gap to create a line that's going to help me to have the proper surface. So this command is called blend. Okay. And we'll create a line between my two surfaces. So I will select my first edge of surface and I will go close next to this point that I click on the other surface. Okay. Let me repeat this. Enter. Okay, create a line here. Weird. Okay, let me try from the other side, the same command. Something weird is happening. Let me. Okay. Yes. Sorry. So it's blend curve command. Okay. So blend curve. Select curve to blend. So I don't have any curve. So I will select edges here on the command line. And now I will select the points that I was trying to select before. So here, now you see, now it's the correct command because I see my point selected and I select a point next to it here. Okay. So now if you see, I have this profile here and I can also manipulate these two little control points. And I want to create the tangency continuity and not the curvature. And I will press OK. So this line is going to help us to create a smoother surface. And what I'm going to do now is change this curve in another layer. Okay, and I will again split this edge in order to create this little segment here and this little segment here. So I go to Analyze, Edge Tool, Split Edge, and I select my edge to split, and I select my point here and another point here, Enter. And now I will create from Curves object, I will duplicate an edge. I will select my two edges here, Enter. So I have now a line here and a line here. Okay, I will do the same for this line and for this line. And now what I have is a series of lines. In this direction I have 3 lines and 2 lines in this direction. And I will create a network surface out of these lines. So I will type network surface, and I will select first the 4 boundary edges. I will press enter. Up. No, I'll select. Oops. Okay, again, first line, second line, third line, fourth, and then the middle one, enter. And I will press OK. Okay, so now you see I created these network surfaces from 4 lines. And now you see that I have a smooth transition from my edge to the flat edge here. Okay, the same process can be repeated from this side. So let me do it quickly. I will blend curve. I will create I will click edges, first edge to blend, second tangency, okay, and one more time I repeat this process here. Okay, and now I will create again my network surface. I have again to split my edge. Okay, so go to Analyze, Edge Tools, Split Edge on this point. Again, this edge on this point, enter. Okay, so now I can go to curve from objects, duplicate edge. I create this. Again, analyze, edge tool, split edge. This is split it already, okay. Curve from objects, duplicate edge. I have my edge here. Okay, and these lines I join. Okay, and now I think I have all the lines that I need to create the network surface. Oops, escape, network surface. And I select now first line, second line, third, fourth, 5, 6, 7, enter. Oops. Okay, let me see what happened here. I think I have to extract the curves again. So duplicate the edge, this, enter. I join. I have my curve here. Okay, network surface. My first curve, my second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, enter. Okay. Okay, and now I have created a smooth surface that connects my cutout with my original surface. Let me go to the render view to see how this looks. Okay, and you see that this was the exercise. I created my cutout, which is smoothly connected with my original surface. So I hope you enjoyed, and see you on the next tutorial.